I love rope magic, and there's been so many great rope routines created over the years. I wanted to create a specific routine for myself where I started with a single length of rope and ended with a single length of rope. And there's a lot of different ideas in here, a lot of different people's ideas, and I'll be talking about those as we move along. To begin with, I set up the rope by accordion pleating it in my hand, and by the way, the rope is about 9 foot long. And when you get to this point, I wrap the rope twice around and then use the middle of the remainder part to tuck it in, and it keeps it nice and tight, and I keep it behind my chest on the table. When I'm ready to go, all I have to do is pull that long end, unwrap that, and know that as soon as I grab that and toss, it's going to come out nice and clean. Now, the first thing you want to do is to set yourself up for the professor's nightmare, and the classic way to do that is with the Slidini procedure, which did appear in his books. But I remembered years ago, back in the mid-'70s, seeing Jean Merlin, a wonderful magician from France, and he had a great move where you came down here, and when you come up, the loose end of the rope is running over the top part of the blade, not between the blades, but the top part of the blade. And you come in and use the blades of the scissors to nip the rope and drop off the loop. It's difficult to do in slow motion, but I'll try again. You drop the loop and you bring it up like this. So before I cut it, I'm going to show you the position you're in. You're actually in Professor's Nightmare position. That is to say, you're looped here and you're straight down here. And so when you cut, you'll have the small piece, the long piece, and the medium piece. Let me do that for you again in motion. That was not a good one. Let me try that again. There we go. And the thing you want to make sure that you have is that you have that loop down here fairly close. It doesn't have to be exact, but fairly close to that piece down there. Okay? And I place the scissors where I can reach them again. And now you're set up for Professor's Nightmare. Now what I do for the count, the standard count that I use, I insert a finger or two inside the loop here. As I take the first rope off, now I separate those fingers, come in and I grab here as I take this piece back with this finger. I'm going to expose it here. Okay? But when I actually do it, I let one of the ends of the rope, when I count, I hold on to one of the ends of the rope like this and let it run through the fingers. It's a much more convincing count. And there's the third rope. This one I place over my head. And now you're setting up for one of George Sands's restorations. But I do it in a slightly different way. I show the end of the rope here, and as I come down and move my arm up, I use that opportunity to let this piece of rope slide down on the hand, grab this piece, which substitutes for it, as I bring the hand away. And I'm focusing my attention here. Once again, big move covering the small move as I squeeze, let it drop, and now I bring it up in a display. I twirl the ends. Now you're going to do the standard end switch, which basically is the left end going over the right end. You turn everything over, releasing the little piece, and that substitutes the ends. So now you have the little rope running around the big rope. Let me do that again for you in rhythm. Okay. Now what I do is, just as a safety factor, I unloop the little piece. That is to say, I take that leftmost end and run it back around the rope as I'm gesturing here. That leaves it completely free, which is just a little bit of extra insurance for the moving ends bit, which is, again, George Sands. You pull this down into the hand, you gesture, and it pops up like this. You pull it down in the hand, and you let it go. And as your hands come together, you're adding that piece back as you run the rope through your hands. These changeover moves are, somewhat reminiscent of Francis Tabaré from France, and you'll see some of his other moves during the routine as well. You do the rope end switch, so it sets you up for your next crossover, which is still exactly the same substitution of the ends, but this time you don't unloop it. You pull it to about here and then bring it over, and you're going to cut the rope. Apparently, all you're doing is letting go of those ends. And you notice that one rope is longer than the other. And you say, no, that's no good. And you're going to do a restoration that's based on a restoration by Richard Sanders, but also, coincidentally enough, was also created and put in print about the same time by Tom Stone of Sweden. And basically all you're doing is you're letting this drop and you're catching that end. Now, if you want to kind of reduce your risks, minimize risk, you can reach over and grab this as you drop, and it looks like this, which looks pretty good. But the way that Richard does it and Tom does it, they bring this up and they actually drop the rope and drop that end into this hand, like this. So it's a little more visual. You decide how much risk you're willing to take. And again, as your hands come together, you're transferring the ends. So now the fake end is in the left hand. One more time, you're going to do that substitution of ends, and again, you're going to unwrap it so that the little piece is free. Okay? You're going to bring it to about here, and you're going to place these ends in your pocket. And you're going to leave the bulk of the rope there as well, and you're going to do this little thing where you're walking your fingers along, one end comes up, the other end comes up, and you display it like this. Now you grab the piece off your deck, and you're going to do Francis Tabaré's amazing melting restoration. This is a beautiful thing, but this is a little different handling. This is a handling that was created by Tim Conover, great magician. And basically all that's happening is you're showing it here, you're holding it between the fork of the little finger and thumb. And you bring your hand in, and as this comes in, you reach down and you grab this end, and the fingers of that's the index finger and middle finger grab the end that was in the left hand, and you pull your hand away. And that sets you up very easily for the Tabaré restoration. And all you're doing is bringing the hands in like this. Now, another change is to bring these ends into the hand toward the end there, which makes the full restoration easy. And all that's going to happen is the end that you're holding in your left hand comes in, grasp the end that's held between your finger and thumb as you come in and pull it through your hand like this. It's an absolutely beautiful move, and it's just an amazing thing to behold. One of the highlights of the routine, I think. Now you take this end and you're going to loop it over the little finger, and that's just a positional thing. It just makes the next movement a little bit easier. You take these two ends and you're going to reach into your pocket and you're going to grab that little piece of rope that's still looped in your pocket. Okay? You're You're going to grab that in your pocket as you gesture like this, and you pop the end up that's towards your right. You pop that up as you bring this out, and as you put this here, you notice suddenly that there's 3 ends, which obviously is wrong. And so I hold up 3 fingers, then I let go of this end in the left hand and put up my 4th finger. That usually gets a little bit of a laugh there. And what happens in this hand is your right thumb flips the rightmost rope over to the left. And this is going to set you up for the Professor's Nightmare type of move. You're going to take this end that's lowest most, grab these ends, and take these 2 ends which you're holding together, toss them in the air, and pretend you're cutting them in half. And you look at your fingers like, ooh, sharp fingers. So now you have a long rope, a middle rope, and a long rope. And up to this point, we've used the Professor's Nightmare as a method without actually doing the Professor's Nightmare effect, which I find kind of interesting. But now you're actually going to do the Professor's Nightmare effect, and you're going to restore that to its close to even condition. If they're not even, it really doesn't matter. And at this point, you're going to do another rope count. This is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen because it's a total fake out. It is the creation of John Stetson from Boston, a great mentalist and cruise ship worker. And he showed it to me many years ago, and the movie had gotten around. I'd shown it to at Fechter's, and so many guys really wanted to learn the thing. And it appeared on another videotape without any credit to John, so I want to make sure John got the credit here. Basically, the setup is you've got the looped rope and the single rope here, and it starts in this position. All you have to do is put the 3 fingers, the 3 lower fingers of the left hand into the loop, and your right hand comes palm up and pulls the rope out like this, shows it, and as it comes back, as you get to the left hand, you drop this end and grab these 2 and pull, and that rope comes through the hand. And then you finish off with this one. Let me do it for you again in motion because it's an absolutely stunning move. That's 1, 2, 3. Great move. This goes over the head again. You're now going to knot these 2 ropes together, and you're going to do it with a double knot just to make it smaller for the final restoration. And you're going to tie these into a double knot, and this is just a straight double knot. This one actually I don't have really room to do it, but you could still do it. And you're going to pull that over to your right. The reason is you want the sliding knot to be uppermost. And this finishing sequence came out of a routine by a guy named Chuck Stanfield out of Chicago. What's happening is you're roping this up, you're pulling this secretly along the rope until it's almost to this knot. But you stop there and place this in the hand, and I bring this up, and I grab the scissors, and instead of cutting, I go, no. Uses a magic wand. Place these down, and now you drop this, and you're going to grab the bottommost knot, throw it in the air, and look over here as if pausing for an applause cue, because you've restored the rope. But you notice apparently somebody said something. You look back and you see, ooh, there's the knot, how unsightly. And you pull it here, 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 and here. You drop the rope into your hat or your box. You toss this over. You drop that in. And again, you're in a nice applause cue. Now, there's one little thing that I'd come up with if you're working stage. That's just a nice little addition if you care to do this, and it certainly will mess up magicians if you do. Let me just knot this around so you can kind of get the picture here. You're at the point where you've done this restoration. You show it like this in your applause cue, and you look, and you start to pull it down, but as you do, you're actually going to back palm the knot. Kind of a goofy idea. But this happens as you come up like this and allows you to totally and openly show that hand and drop that down, toss this like this. So it's just an extra little addition for that rope.